Yes, Banlist. My favorite time of the year, or not really, for a good reason, because usually those are pretty ineffective to the current meta.
Disappointed!
But for once, they actually make a Banlist that matter this time, and for a very good reason. The deck that did get hit has been terrorizing in Vanguard for a really good while. So today I'm gonna be covering every single entry that was included in the ban list, standard only, which I think that's the only one that they have, but also what are the possible effects on the ban list to those decks, and what are the decks that will be more or less in the top tier after this ban list has been in effect. This is gonna be very personal opinion for me because there is some of the entry in this list I am not 100% familiar with. So do leave down in the comments below to keep the discussion going on what do you think this ban list actually affect, and what are the decks that you guys think that is gonna be, you know, meta after this. So let's start off with the only limited entry in this list, and that is of course Sturguna 2-1. And for some people they consider it too harsh of a hit, but in my honest opinion, I do think this is proper, though I do feel they really hit the deck quite hard because of the fact that Sturguna is a crux of Vanguard offense due to his ability to be able to activate more than once per turn and ability to accelerate the bind zone by 2 cards. That doesn't sound a lot, but that's already 4k, which if you included the Vanguard effects, that's additional 5k card for you to card. And because of the fact that they remove 3 of Sturguna from Vanguard decks now because it's limited, the deck now have a much less synergy with base harvest because base harvest only activate during main phase. But in terms of offense wise, I do not think the deck is affected that much thanks to the fact that there's cards like Brawadin in Gardeva's arsenal, which actually does help the main phase Gardewa to an extent thanks to his ability to be able to treat it as grade 1, 2 and 3 at the same time. And also he gets additional power by himself, which is a very nice touch on top of the ridiculous amount of offense Gardewa may get. So what does exactly Gardewa's gonna be now after the ban list? Well, we can definitely gonna see that McMegane will be a lot more frequent in the deck purely due to the fact that that's the only other main phase retire with plus bind effect that Gardewa currently has, which means that the Gardewa turn 3 will be significantly slower, but it doesn't completely invalidate the deck because now that the space has opened up, you can technically run more cards like both Blamer Dragon to put into that early rush if you needed to. So because of that, I do have to say Gardewa definitely is no longer the king of the meta, but it is definitely going to be around for a little more longer. And then we have another hit, which is a Asteroid Restrict, and that is Alvira and Blanc, which is the cycle card for Recon Monasterio, the grade 2 one. And overall, I will have to say this helps to limit the power of Vilista quite a bit, but not by that much because of the fact that the only thing that they are blocking right now is the fact that they are blocking Vilista from having way too much advantage in the early part of the game and also later part of the game thanks to Blanc. Or you can keep that, but you lose easily the strongest draw engine at the time I recorded this video. And to that, I will have to say good for you, cause like I'll put it this way, the deck is definitely still gonna be in the meta for a while. Losing a little bit of power and draw doesn't really hit the deck that much, and let's be real here, there are a perfectly replacement for Blanc for Vilista in the form of Straya, as her ability kind of synergizes very well with Vilista thanks to the fact that you have to play 1 order per turn, and this card is swinging for 20k on her own with additional draw. So I do not think that really invalidated, especially the LBTO4 supports are pretty damn solid so far for generic side based on what we have seen so far. So I do think Vilista will more or less retain her position as a queen of meta, but her ranking will definitely be affected, especially if you try to compare the deck that in similar tier with her. Then we have 2 of the release, Eva with Combined Rusher and Brainwash with GG. So these 2 released from the ban list will affect both of the decks to an extent, but I do not think it's gonna be heavily affected purely due to the fact that the ban lists are trying to limit the power of both Eva and Jet respectively, and they're just being released from those powers. Eva with Combined Rusher now, you can technically play into Poison in Paradise a little bit more often because of the fact that Poison in Paradise is essentially free cost. Then you have Jet with Brainwash and GG, which was like easily one of the most cancer makeout session between 2 grade 1 units that we have seen.
What the fuck?
and they kind of bring it back, and I do think it is necessary purely due to the fact that now the Jet are actually scary on turn 4 now. During the turn they go into Fate Rider Dragon, and overall I would have to say it a necessity and release for those two decks to be able to catch up with the power level of the current upcoming DBT 13 meta. So do I think that they're gonna be affected in the positioning? Just a little bit, but not by a lot. Now let's move on to what are the possible candidates for being meta. Once again, this is my opinion, so do leave down in the comments below on what you guys think of the potential deck. So the first deck that is in the candidate immediately is of course Bastion. Bastion did not get hit at all during the ban list, and I do think it is fine because of the fact that Bastion have a much better rush now, but it's still kind of weak against early rush and also, you know, big number swinging because of the fact that you're still running mainly grade 3s. So the fact that they did hit Bastion is a right move at the current format, and especially if you're considering a lot of decks are able to kill Bastion in the upcoming booster. Some of the other candidates I'm thinking of at the moment are of course my previous tier list, the 10 days in the A+ tier. So if I remember correctly, there were Eva and Jet were in that tier, Messiah, Omena Grucio, Zoga, Orifice, I forget, oh, Hexa-Orb. Yeah, I don't remember everything, but essentially if you check my DBT 12 tier list, those 10 are some of the candidates that are in the possibility of getting into a S tier in my opinion. And we also have a few more entry with the DBT 13 in the form of Leonon, Dragovo, Heroes, and a Vanguard, and with Veltra also. So anything that got supported in DBT 13, and I am seeing those decks to be a potential meta competitive deck purely due to the fact that the speed of the meta has slightly slowed down thanks to the 2 hits of the top deck. Yes, the Mars still exists, but Mars is a very combo heavy deck, so it doesn't really have a lot in terms of defense, especially those that are in top tier right now. So the fact that you're gonna be seeing more turn 4 deck going up in the playing level and also competitiveness is gonna be something you most likely will be seeing a lot in the upcoming format with the bad list. So what do you guys think at the end of the day? Do leave down in the comments below, and yeah, that's all I have for today. I apologize if my voice sounds a little bit off today with this recording because I ate some young earlier. So time for me to take care of myself, and you guys do as well. And this is McMegane signing out.